All right, everyone. Ready to make your websites work smarter, not harder.
I like it. Hardworking websites, that's what we're after.
Exactly. And today's deep dive is all about a secret weapon that so many people overlook, image optimization.
It's true, it's often seen as this technical afterthought, but honestly, getting those images right can be a game changer.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm very guilty of closing a website immediately if it takes too long to load.
And you're not alone. We got a listener question about this actually, sent in this whole guide about it. It emphasizes that a slow website, instant turnoff for most people these days.
Makes total sense. We're all short on time and patience. But this guide is saying it's not just about us being impatient, right? Search engines care about site speed, too.
Big time. Google especially. A fast-loading website is like music to their ears. They see it as a sign of quality.
Okay, so we're making Google happy, A&D, keeping our visitors from bouncing. Win-win.
Mm.
But how do we actually do that? What's
Yeah.
the first step to image optimization greatness?
Well, this guide dives right in with image compression. It's like the foundational step. You got to start there.
Okay, so walk me through this. Compression sounds kind of technical. What are we actually doing to these images?
Think of it like zipping up a file on your computer.
Oh, okay, so we're making the file size smaller without losing the actual picture.
Exactly. And thankfully, it's way easier than it used to be. There are tools for this now. The guide mentions TinyVMG, JPEG Mini, Compressor.io. They all do the heavy lifting for you.
Music to my ears. I'm all about those make my life easier tools. So we compress our images, and that alone makes a difference in how fast our site loads.
Huge difference, especially if you're working with photography, which tends to have larger file sizes to begin with.
Right, those high-resolution images are gorgeous, but man, they can really bog things down. So we've tackled compression. What else is in this image optimization playbook?
Choosing the right image format. It's like you wouldn't wear a snowsuit to the beach,
Yeah.
right? Different situations call for different outfits, and it's the same with images on the web.
Okay, love that analogy. So walk me through the different outfits we've got. What are our options?
Well, we've got JPEGs, PNGs, WebPs, oh, and SVGs. It's a whole alphabet soup of image formats out there.
Right, and each one has its own strengths and weaknesses, I imagine. Like, when is it a JPEG kind of day versus a PNG situation?
Think about your website's logo needs to look sharp at any size, right? Tiny phone screen, giant monitor, it's got to hold up.
Totally. Can't have a blurry logo, that's for sure. What do we use for that?
SVG is your best friend there. It's what we call vector-based, so it can be scaled up or down without losing any quality. Always crisp, always sharp.
So SVGs, they're like the superheroes of scalability.
Love it. Perfect description.
But what about when we're working with photographs? Those are usually the biggest culprits when it comes to slow loading times.
Absolutely. And for photographs, JPEGs are often your best bet. They're really good at compressing images with lots of colors and detail without making the file size too massive.
Okay, so JPEGs are the go-to for those stunning visuals. What about PNGs? What do they come in handy?
PNGs have a superpower that JPEGs don't. Transparency.
Transparency.
Yes.
As in, like, parts of the image can be see-through.
Exactly. So if you have a logo with a transparent background, for example, PNG is the way to go. Or if you have an image you want to layer over another image or a patterned background, PNG lets you do that without any weird edges.
Ah, that makes sense. It's like the invisible cloak of image formats.
Hmm.
Okay, so we've covered JPEGs, PNGs. You also mentioned WebP earlier. Is it like a new kid on the block?
It's definitely gaining popularity. It's actually a format developed by Google, and it's pretty cool because it can offer smaller file sizes than JPEGs and PNGs, but with better quality.
Whoa, wait. Smaller A&D, better quality. That sounds like a dream come true.
Right. It's definitely one to keep an eye on. Now, even if you've picked the perfect format, you still got to make sure those image dimensions aren't working against you.
Okay, you're talking about image size now.
Yeah.
Like how big the picture actually is.
Exactly. You might be tempted to upload those huge high-resolution images straight from your camera, but that's a recipe for disaster.
It's like trying to stuff a giant octopus into a tiny teacup. Not going to end well.
Perfect analogy. You've got to resize those images to fit the actual dimensions they'll be displayed at on your website. And this is where something called responsiveness comes in.
Responsiveness.
Yeah.
Sounds like something I want my website to have. But what does it actually mean in this context?
Basically, it means making sure your website looks good on all devices, desktops, laptops, tablets, phones, the whole gamut. And images play a huge role in that.
Right, because a massive image that looks stunning on my giant computer screen is going to be a hot mess on my tiny phone screen if it's not resized properly.
Exactly. And nobody wants a hot mess on their hands. This is where we get a bit techie, but there's something called circset, which is a bit of code that lets you specify different image sizes for different screen resolutions.
So it's like having multiple outfits for your images depending on the occasion. Love it.
Exactly. It's all about dressing to impress, no matter the device. Now, speaking of impressing Google, we can't forget about alt text. It's another crucial piece of the image optimization puzzle.
Alt text. Remind me what that is again.
It's that short, descriptive text you add to an image's HTML code. Basically, it tells search engines and screen readers what the image is all about.
Ah, right. So it's like giving a voice to our images, even though they can't literally speak. Why is this so important for SEO?
Well, Google can't actually see images the way we can, so alt text helps them understand the context of your images and connect them to relevant searches.
It's like we're speaking Google's language, giving them the inside scoop on what our images are all about. So how do we write really good alt text?
It's all about being descriptive and specific, but also natural. Let's say you have a picture of a dog wearing a party hat. Instead of just writing dog, which is way too vague, you could say golden retriever puppy wearing a festive birthday hat.
Okay, I get it. Specific, descriptive, and help someone who can't see the image actually understand what's going on.
Exactly. Now, while we're talking about speaking Google's language, we can't forget about file names.
You mean like the actual name of the image file itself?
You got it. Instead of leaving those generic names your camera assigns like img1234.jpg, use descriptive file names that actually tell Google what the image is.
So instead of that random jumble of letters and numbers, I should name it something like golden retriever puppy birthday tardy.jpg.
Bingo. And a little pro tip, use hyphens to separate the words. Google loves that.
Hyphens noted. It's like we're cracking the code to Google's heart. All right, so we've covered compression, formats, sizing, alt text, file names. Anything else we need to know to become image optimization masters?
One last thing, CDNs. They can be a lifesaver when it comes to image delivery.
CDNs. Those always sound so technical to me. Can you break it down like I'm 5 years old?
Imagine you have these amazing cookies you want to ship all over the world. A CDN is basically like having bakeries set up in every country, ready to bake and deliver those cookies super fast, no matter where the order comes from.
So instead of those cookies traveling all the way from, say, the US to Australia, there's a bakery in Australia ready to go.
Exactly. And because the distance those cookies have to travel is way shorter, they get delivered much faster. It's the same with CDNs and images. They help deliver those images to your website visitors lightning fast, no matter where they are in the world.
So CDNs are like the global delivery superheroes of the internet. Makes sense. Any specific CDNs this guide recommends?
It mentions Cloudflare, Amazon CloudFront, Google Cloud CDN. Those are some of the big names out there. But even with those, it's important to remember image optimization isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing.
You're saying we can't just optimize our images once and then call it a day?
Exactly. The online world changes constantly. New image formats pop up. Best practices evolve.
Yeah.
You got to stay on top of things.
So it's a marathon, not a sprint.
I know you're getting it.
This has been incredibly helpful. I feel like I've learned so much already. Now, this guide also mentioned that image optimization can have a big impact on our content marketing efforts.
It totally does. Images are powerful tools for storytelling, and when you optimize them correctly, you make it way easier for people to connect with your content on an emotional level.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's dig into that a little deeper. How exactly do optimized images supercharge our content marketing?
Well, think about it this way. When you're scrolling through social media, what makes you actually stop and look at something?
Ooh, good question. It's definitely going to be visually interesting if it's just a wall of text. Yeah, scrolling right past that.
Exactly. And that's what images come in. A high-quality image, especially when it loads quickly, thanks to everything we've talked about, can really grab someone's attention.
It's like that saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
Totally. Visuals can evoke emotions, tell stories, convey information in a way that words just sometimes can't.
So it's not just about slapping ANY image onto your blog post or social media. It's about being intentional with those visuals.
100%. You want images that enhance your message, resonate with your audience, draw them in. And when people connect with your content on that visual level, they're way more likely to share it, which then expands your reach even further.
It's like a domino effect. Okay, this is blowing my mind because I realize now I haven't been putting nearly enough thought into the images I choose.
It's a common oversight. We get so focused on the written word that we forget about the power of visual.
I'm so guilty of that, but not anymore. Consider me a reformed image optimization enthusiast. This has been incredibly eye-opening.
Glad to hear it. It's one of those things that seems small, but it can make a world of difference for your online presence.
Absolutely. Well, huge thanks to you for walking us through all of this. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning into this deep dive into image optimization. We'll be back with more insights to level up your knowledge soon.
Think about it this way. When you're scrolling through social media, what makes you stop and look at something?
Oh, that's easy. It's got to be visually interesting.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to look at a wall of text instant snooze fest.
You got it. And that's exactly where images come in. A high-quality image, especially one that loads quickly, thanks to all those optimization tricks we've talked about, can really grab someone's attention.
It's like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Totally. Visuals can often evoke emotions, tell stories, and convey information in a way that words sometimes just can't on their own.
So it's not just about throwing any old image onto your website or social media. It's about making deliberate choices about the visuals you use.
100%. You want images that really enhance your message, that resonate with your audience and draw them in.
And when someone connects with your content on that visual level, they're more likely to hit that share button.
Right, absolutely. And that's how you expand your reach exponentially. It's the power of visual storytelling in action.
It's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
You optimize your images, people are drawn to them, they share your content, more people see it, and so on.
Exactly. It's all connected.
This is blowing my mind. I'm realizing now that I haven't been putting nearly enough thought into the images I've been using.
It's a common oversight. We get so laser focused on the written word, we sometimes forget about the incredible power of visuals.
Totally guilty as charged, but not anymore. Consider me a reformed image optimization enthusiast. This deep dive has been a game changer.
Love to hear it. It's one of those things that seems like a small detail, but it can truly make a world of difference in your online presence.
Couldn't agree more. Well, a huge thank you to you for walking us through all of this. Your insights have been incredibly valuable.
It's been my pleasure. Always happy to share what I know.
And to all our amazing listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to this deep dive on image optimization. We'll see you next time for another episode packed with information to help you level up your online game.